talking today to Alexander McNabb, who is from Spot On PR. Alexander, what happened when social media started in Dubai?
Well, it didn't really start with a bang. It sort of started with a squeak and people started to take to it. But I think really when Twitter was unblocked, that's when it really took it off.
And why was Twitter blocked?
Well, Twitter was blocked because it was a dating site, according to the telco. And so it was blocked until August 2008. And when it was unblocked, of course, everyone was very curious to see what it was. And it really took off. And it had an amazing effect on Dubai. I mean, as a single city within a nation, Twitter just created an amazing number of offline events as people sort of got together, had tweet-ups, relationships that had started online, cemented offline, and that then became regional. So the whole Middle East started a new social culture that hadn't been there before, hadn't been open there before. And that included dialogue and discussion, social activism, and in many ways, many movements for change. Little ways, and I'm not talking about Tahrir Square every single time, but people start up funds and charities and runs and marathons and walkathons and just events to get together.
Social and charitable activity at some level.
Absolutely. And the region had never seen that level of that activity, particularly on a regional basis. So pretty amazing.
Why did the Dubai authorities think it was a dating site? What's the issue there?
I haven't got the faintest idea. I think probably a lack of understanding of the platform. And of course, it's pointless. You can't stop dating. Dating happened in the analog world before the digital one. So these blocks of the internet are mildly surprising. But then, of course, one of the things that's happened over the past few years is authority in general, globally, has struggled to deal with quite where it puts the internet and the changes in morality and behaviour and the ebb and flow of opinion that the internet brings.
So what happened in northern Lebanon that really drove the adoption of Facebook?
The Nahar al-Bared Palestinian refugee camp was bombed by the Lebanese army. There was a terrorist cell there or something that they wanted to get out, and that caused a huge outpouring of opinion in Lebanese society and more widely in the region. But it caused Facebook groups to start up of a remarkable scope. You're looking at adoption rates of 2 people joining per minute, 30,000 people in the group. And suddenly people found that if they had an opinion, they could express it to an audience of 30,000. And expressing your opinions not really being much of culture in the Arab world, certainly not media culture. So it's kind of like Calvin taking to the muddy pool. These guys ran into it with a whoop. And personally, I think that's what led, to Tahrir Square, the use of Facebook there, where people realised that Facebook groups could grow very wide adoption, could give you this audience. And if you look at Facebook adoption across the Middle East and North Africa, a couple of years ago it surpassed the total readership of all newspapers in the region. It's now well over double, and in fact Facebook in Arabic alone is well over the readership of newspapers in the entire Middle East and North Africa. That's over 270 newspapers. So for instance, commercially, for advertisers, you can now reach an audience in the Middle East you could never have reached before. But for your average user, your opinion...
And presumably simpler too, because of the number of newspapers that you would have to deal with.
It's almost impossible to imagine what it would cost to do, and yes, you've got the logistics of it, and so that raises whole commercial challenges. Do you need an ad agency if you can advertise with Facebook? Probably the answer is no. Do you need a PR agency if everyone can express their opinion freely and brands actually have to jump in and take part in that to and fro? And the answer is probably no. So pretty challenging there for business. And when Tahrir Square happened, the whole region, even the older generation that hadn't taken the internet particularly seriously, suddenly had to sit up and take notice. Businesses realised that if the internet can change governments, then possibly the people have moved somewhere and they're not there. And then governments in the region have looked at it and wondered what on earth to do about it.
So what actions have they been trying to take in relation to the internet and social media?
You've seen the passing of a number of new laws, certainly in Jordan, in Qatar, here in the UAE, there have been new laws, and in Lebanon, new laws passed that attempt to take the digital world and regulate it to some degree. And generally the approach that's been taken is to take the old media law, brush it down a little bit and sort of apply it to the internet. Of course, that doesn't work. So that's something of a sticking plaster. In the long term, of course, governments are going to have to find whole new ways of doing stuff, and the UAE government and Dubai in particular Sheikh Mohammed has been very hot on leading the move to e-government.
Yeah.
And part of e-governance in the internet age means you actually have to get online and engage with people. And that's been quite funny to watch. It's a process that's happening, but you've had all these guys that are used to one-way communication suddenly realising they actually have to talk to their customers. Like, talk to customers? Why would I want to do that?
And have they gone onto social media? I mean, do you find governments going onto Twitter in the way that you do, like, say, the Kenyan government is
yes,
quite active
the Jordanian government was very active quite early on. The Lebanese government, very patchy. Some ministers are very active. Tom Fletcher, the British ambassador to Lebanon, has been an incredibly active diplomat on Twitter. It's been amazing to watch. And of course, because it's on Twitter, you can watch it.
Yeah.
And so here in the UAE, yeah, there has been movement to online, to Twitter, to Facebook. It's early days yet. There's still baby steps. People are still getting it wrong. But it's better people go out there and get it wrong and then move and get it right than just not bother at all. So there is undoubtedly that will now to engage with people, to take governance online. And that's a new answerability in governance.